I got something up there.
Hey, I'm Obi That Said, and we are drinking from the Garden Hose, your favorite podcast about nothing. Guess wherever you get your podcast, be that Spotify, Apple, Google, we're there. Look us up. Also, check out our website, gardenhose.vercel.com. Ed, how are you?
Doing well, Obi. The heat wave has hit us, and it's not below freezing every moment of the day. So I'm doing better. But I have noticed one thing. I used to think, oh, Northeast living, you deal with the cold, you deal with the snow, but I wouldn't live anywhere else. But I don't know. I do know. I'm getting old. I hate the cold. I freaking hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, well, on that note, I don't hate it yet. I'm okay with putting on a jacket, staying inside. But I used to have this thing where whenever the weather was really bad, either too hot or too cold, I used to always go, well, wonder what it is in NOLA, because NOLA always had great weather, but, not last week. So one day my wife all of a sudden looks at me and goes, hey, what's the weather like in New Orleans? Knowing that I have it on my phone, I'm going to take a look. And I'm like, oh my God. So, even in New Orleans, you can get the wrong result.
Yeah, but if you get snow like once every decade, I mean, you can live with it. But when it's freaking bone chilling cold every freaking day, when all you want to do is walk to your car to drive your kid to school, I mean, I don't know. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm over it. But I will say something funny came out of the snowstorms down south. Like Pensacola got like 9 inches of snow or something crazy like that. But the funniest part was they had, the municipal workers driving on like some flatbed truck. He had like a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket filled with like salt, probably table salt too. And the freaking guy was sitting on the back, like grabbing a handful and just like throwing it out on the streets, like that was gonna do something. I don't know. I think that's funny. Like, why even try at that point?
I agree. We up here, and you're even further north than me by good at least 100 miles. Our towns are fighting for rock salt. That's one of the things that's that's one of the important things for the mayor to take care of, is to make sure his town has rock salt. And in Pensacola.
Oh, and the other thing is you got to make sure you put copious amounts of rock salt on the streets so it's still there for like a week later, so everyone knows like you have enough rock salt.
That's right. Right. Oh yeah, you got to show off your rock salt. That's good mayoring. I'm showing extra rock salt.
I mean, my streets have like piles of rock salt on them. Like they just dump piles. Whereas Pensacola, I do believe they were using table salt, and you could either put salt on your eggs or you could put it on the streets. I guess down in Pensacola they were putting it on the streets.
Yeah, well, that is an option, and one that I guess worked out for them.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it worked out.
Really, not really. It didn't work out.
I don't think it worked out for them. I think they're now short table salt, and they couldn't get around for a couple of days because they don't know how to drive in the snow.
Well, listen, 9 inches. A lot of people don't know how to drive in 9 inches worth of snow.
True. I would recommend not driving it at all. But so I hate the cold. But the other thing we talked about last episode, we talked a little bit about Gen X, and this is a Gen X podcast. So I want one of the things we've talked about in the past is the differences of the generations in the workplace, right? And I think we've said on this podcast, definitely me, maybe not you because you're a nice guy. I've definitely said that and actually you've defended the younger generation because you actually you have a kid that's in the workforce in that younger generation. So you're like soft and sensitive to that. My kid is not working, so I can be harsh on Gen Z. And I have been harsh on Gen Z. I say they don't want to work, they're not good workers, et cetera, et cetera. Well, there's a study that I just read, just as before we logged on, a study here that was just put out that, according to this study, 6 in 10 employers say that they've already fired some Gen Z workers that they just hired fresh out of college in recent months. And so what's happening is they're just getting frustrated with basically they're not prepared to work. These kids are coming out of college and they're unprepared to work. So I don't know, Obi, what do you think about that?
Well, I did see that headline. I didn't read the article, so I saw the headline and I got a good laugh. But I have a great great counter because that's my job here. Uh, it's kind of funny. So the oldest is what? He was born in 2001. Oh my goodness, I should know these days. He's 20. Is he 24 already? Oh my fucking
Oh
God.
Jesus. Oh
Holy
Jesus.
shit. All right. And the
You don't even know how old your kid is. Come on, man.
all right. I mean, it's shocking. All right. But anyway, I was on a text message chain with him, my youngest, who is 19, and my brother, who is a Gen Xer like ourselves, who is a listener of this podcast. And he sends a text message asking us what we're going to be doing, the four of us this weekend, what time we're getting together. And this message went out at about, I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock this morning. Now, my youngest promptly replies. Here's the kicker. Or not the kicker. Here's the first fact. The youngest is in class at 10:30 with his aunt as the professor. It's a college class. His aunt, my brother's wife, is the professor. So
that's not surprising. He's not paying attention because he knows he's going to pass the class.
I don't know that he's going to pass the class, but after he gives the answer, my brother, being the wise ass he is, goes, yeah, aren't you supposed to be in class? And then Alex replies, yes, I'm in class with your wife, as you're well aware. And when she asked me why I was looking at my phone, I explained to her that you had texted me. So you good luck with that. But my oldest son, who was at work, does not reply to the text message at all. Does not reply. So I reply, so why is it that my youngest, who's at work, isn't going to, why isn't my oldest, who's at work, Sammy? He knows better than to be texting at work. What are you doing, Uncle Bro? So
I think he didn't text because he'd rather use Snapchat personally.
No, I think he didn't chat. I know he didn't text because he does not text from work. He does not, when he's in the office, he's not on his phone. That is his mode of operation.
According to this article, he must be one of the 4 in 10 because here is what the reasons for why these kids are getting fired. I mean, this is you can't even make this stuff up. I mean, I've been making it up for 2 years, but here it is. This is what people answered why they're firing people. They gripe that the young people lack of motivation and initiative. 50% of the leaders surveyed cited that the reasons why they didn't work out their new hires, they pointed to being unprofessional, unorganized, having poor communication skills, which I think we already knew that one, as their top reasons. But then they also said that they're late to work often, they're late to meetings often, they don't show up wearing office appropriate clothing, and they use language not appropriate for the workspace. I mean, haven't we all been stereotyping that all along? And now we have a survey to say that crap is really happening.
Well, I think some of it is interesting because some of it is real things and some of it is BS. So first of all, not dressing appropriately, I don't really know what that means. It sounds to me like you're an old fuddy-duddy and you want a particular work environment that doesn't exist. So screw you. Not speaking appropriately. I wonder what language they're using that the old guy doesn't think is appropriate. He may not think my podcast language is appropriate for all I know. Now, the other thing, though, being late.
It's not. We all know that, Obi. It's not. Can't be going around cussing in the office.
Listen, I've been in jobs, corporate jobs.
I was going to say corporate. I've been in jobs too, and it was demolition. It was like working in the kitchen of a restaurant.
At the job that I have no longer at, when I first started there was a high-level executive who cursed casually all the time, including fuck, just casually. Talk like a trucker.
Well, I could also find the survey, or not survey, the study that says that people who swear are more intelligent.
Yeah, well, thank God. That just proves how smart I am. So we got that covered. But some of the other stuff, I will be like, wait, you can't be late. You just you can't be late for meetings. That is not an acceptable turn in American culture, in the how we do business in America. You are not going to hold a job being late. If you are late, you're not going to stick around.
I think
And
you're funny though. I think you're funny on this one because you you it's funny. Like, oh, you dress whatever the hell you want, say whatever the fuck you want. But if you show up late, now your
fuck,
ass is getting fired.
listen, listen, especially if you're dealing with people who are higher up than you, because you know, and I'm sure you know, your day, you look at your calendar every day and you go, ah, fuck, just want a minute to breathe. And because it's meeting after meeting after meeting, you don't even have time to do work. And then some kid is 10 minutes late to the meeting, and your whole day is off. Because if you go and stick to that, given that whole meeting, a half hour, you're high enough up that everybody else's day is off by 10 minutes because this kid is for the rest of their day, because you're going to be 10 minutes late to a meeting that can't start till you're there. And then you're going to be 5 minutes late to a meeting that can't start until you're there. And the whole reason you look like a fool and all your employees can't get their work done is because at the 8 o'clock meeting, some 20-year-old was hungover. And if he had just been like, oh, fuck, I'm
So Obi,
hungover, but I'm here on time, you would have been okay.
so Obi, I really wanted to disagree with you. Like, I wanted to have like faux outrage over the fact that you just indiscriminately picked being late is unacceptable, but the other stuff wasn't. Which I could indiscriminately just pick the other stuff is unacceptable and being late is. But you made a lot of points there, and you brought up my own personal life. And you're right. If you're late to my meeting, you're actually disrespecting me.
Yeah.
If you show up with, I don't know, Axl Rose on your t-shirt to work, you're not disrespecting me. You're disrespecting yourself looking like a slob. And if you want to curse in front of other people, we're going to judge you that you're an idiot. But if you're late, you're not disrespecting me. So I'll agree with you there. That you're right. That's a bridge you can't cross.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, because you can take that kid aside and say, listen, you're going to do great work. And I'm going to even give you good reviews, but you're never going to get promoted till you wear a tie and your language gets clear there. Like, you can work with that. But if you're late, you're messing everything up. That's it.
Yeah. And you're going to
Yeah.
get fired. According to this survey, you're going to get fired.
Yeah. Yeah. Goodbye. See you later. Learn to catch the earlier train. Get up. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, and if it's generational, then it's generational. I don't know that that's not how every new group of people going into work were. Um, so I can't be certain that when Gen X first showed up at the office space, they were on time and they
No, we were.
were.
No, we were, because I think there's something different about this generation than maybe the generations that were before it. And I think it's this and I think, listen, parents have done this. Like, we all want to, oh, you're your own person. You do what you want, John. You can be anybody you want. You don't listen to them. You don't have to conform, right? But at the end of the day, the workplace is about conformity. I don't really care what anybody says. It's conformity. Listen, when I grew up, it was beaten into my head that you can't have long hair at work. You can't have an earring at work. You can't show your tattoos at work. And I remember pushing back on my parents going, that's bullshit. Like, I am who I am. And they're like, yeah, maybe it's bullshit, but that's the way the world works. So you could have the ponytail, you could have the earring, you could have the tattoos, and you're going to make $10 an hour, or you can conform and you can actually make a living, you know? And so I bought into that. And I think most Gen X did, right? And I think the younger generation was never even told, not even they can't even buy into it. They were never even told that that's the way the world works.
Uh, yeah, I think you may be right, and I'm not sure exactly how these generational lines work, but I do wonder if I think there's also a new generational cusp that's actually entering the workplace right now. I don't know. I think but like I think
So I
millennials are
think that's
ending.
Gen Z. It's Gen Z. So the millennials are out now. Gen Z's in, and
Yeah.
then Gen Alpha is after that. Gen A or something. I don't know. Whatever.
Okay.
But I do think that. So okay. So Obi, I want to shift a little bit because I could rail on the younger generation all day long. I'm not so sure if that's fair to them because, again, their parents coddled them, and of course, we get what we get when we coddle our kids. I'm probably raising the same. I'm raising the same type of kid. But here's something I want to throw out there to you. Again, Obi, we've talked about TikTok before, and I'm gonna keep it with Gen X though. So I've seen a couple of TikToks, more than a couple, that the whole theme is that it's a challenge. I know you've seen this, right? The challenge is it's impossible to summon an entire generation with just one song. And then they're like, oh yeah. And then they play a song, and here I am as a Gen Xer, and I'm like, they got me. That was a good one. But the problem is that almost every one I've seen is the same song, and it's "Pour Some Sugar on Me" by Def Leppard.
Okay.
Now, I like that song, and it is a Gen X song, so I get it. But I just wonder, A, why it's always that song. Maybe it's the algorithm. But B, Obi, what song would summon you as a Gen Xer?
So it's interesting because I would go a little later, more towards the end of Gen X. Uh, I think it was post that, but I would go with Welcome to the Jungle. Still in the heavy metal glam rock world, but give me a drummer with two legs.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's a
I
good
think
one.
I think
I didn't
that's
hear that. Welcome to the Jungle is definitely a Gen X song. I mean, I think there's a lot of them. I just thought it was funny that it was always Def Leppard. So, okay. So I would love to know what other people's Gen X song is. What is that song that you think would summon a generation? Like the whole generation will go, yeah, I know that song.
okay. Yeah, I think yeah. And what song would you have picked, or were you picking?
Oh, I'm the one asking the question.
Oh, you're the one asking questions. So
Yeah,
we should have a poll. Why does Ed get to ask the questions if you don't even have an answer?
yeah, I'm the one asking the questions and I'm the one with all the opinions, but I don't have to have answers.
Okay. All right. So and speaking of Gen X,
By the way, it would be Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def Leppard.
no, okay. All right. So you're sticking with what everyone else is saying.
Well, because I just lack creativity, that's all.
Okay. All right. I mean, that was a
Although what's been showing up on my TikTok lately has been for whatever again the algorithm. All of a sudden, Lane Staley from and he died in April, so it's not even like the anniversary of his death. But Lane Staley from Alice in Chains has been showing up a lot, and they even had the video where you got people who never heard him sing before listening to him for the first time and how they react. I mean, guy had an amazing voice in Alice in Chains, right?
right.
So that wouldn't I wouldn't say it has to be a an Alice in Chains song, but Wood by Alice in Chains I think is a banger. But I think the grunge, so you have to go with a Nirvana song. Probably Smells Like Teen Spirit would probably be it, right? If you think about it. But you could go with what a Pearl Jam song. I think you go with a Nirvana Smells Like Teen or an Alice in Chains or maybe even a Soundgarden song. But I think if you go the grunge there, I think that really sums up Gen X. And I think the movie Singles actually. I think you got to take a movie from that soundtrack and boom, you got it.
Well, what I do think is interesting in this conversation here is, although I think you are, we have talked about the end of Gen X music while totally ignoring the three big pop 80s, Prince, Madonna, and Michael Jackson. Like, why isn't it Beat It? I mean, like, why isn't it something by Prince or Like a Virgin? Or like, why isn't it one of those three who to me are like the big three pop culture songs? And then we went to the okay, pop kind of died and disco kind of got replaced by pop, and then boom, right into the metal grunge group, which I know is where you and I lean, but we certainly grew up on some of that other stuff.
Well, I mean, you might as well throw Mickey by Tony Basil in there because that is a banger. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine.
You're
But
so fine, you blow
blow
my
my
mind.
mind. But here's the thing about that, Obi. I think you bring up a great point, and it would be easy for me to answer. Well, those songs came out when I wasn't a teenager. I was still like in elementary school, late elementary school, maybe middle school. And the grunge was like when I was in college. And I think when you're late high school and college is for me, it has to be when you're really transformed. I don't know, you're just going through a metamorphosis maybe as a person. But then you would say to me, well, Ed, you're not the oldest Gen Xer. The oldest Gen Xers are 8 years older than you. So they were in high school when Madonna and Prince were out. They like, so where's your argument there? And I don't have an argument, but I will tell you, you don't hear those people jumping up and down yelling Prince, Beat It, and Madonna, right? They're going kind of where we're going. So explain that one, Ovi.
Listen, I can't, and I think that's a great question for them to answer. You know, what also gets forgotten in my own mind is I always forget that Queen truly is a Gen X band. Queen, I always think of them as actually a little older than,
They
but
were
they
in
are
they were late 70s. They started late 70s.
right.
The other
So
one
the
bites the dust. We are the champions. That was 77, 78.
So, I was 3, you were 5, but there was Gen Xers who were 12, 13.
Yeah, you know what okay, so I'm gonna die on a hill on this one, all right? And I love to hear what people think. But here's why I think it's the grunge. It's because that was a new type of music. Pop was around before Prince and Madonna. Queen was an extension of maybe Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin, right? I mean, nothing new. Don't get me wrong, great bands, but nothing new. Whereas grunge just changed. It just changed it.
Well, grunge did take where rock and roll and metal were going and said, let's revamp that.
Yeah.
I mean, it went and said, basically, it said, you're ignoring punk. Let's throw punk into this rock and roll heavy metal thing and see what we get. And it really turned into something special. And it didn't last super long, right? I mean, it was like, all right, it was a phase. One that
Oh,
we
it's all like one hit wonders. I mean, not one hit wonders, but maybe one or two album wonders for the
right,
most part.
right.
Some of those bands, Pearl Jam's still playing today, but yeah, so maybe that's why in our conscious it's because it was that unique sound. I don't know, but I challenge other people to tell me why most people go there. Now today, because of a lot of things going on in the world around us, I'm seeing a lot of Gen Xers on TikTok throw out Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name of. Now all of us, because that is a Gen X song too, but not one that I think defined my generation. But now there's I think a lot of Gen Xers are pulling that song out of off the shelf.
Yes, yes, and that is true. But I agree with you. I don't think it defined our generation. I have distinct memories of that. I have a very interesting story about that song because of some of the people who hear it and don't realize what it's about now, which is shocking to me because I remember some point uh, after the song was out, I was going to a huge barn party in North Jersey. Somehow this dude had a barn in his yard. It was an outdoor party, and a bunch of my friends, as you may know, are musicians, and they were allowed to go to this party for free. It had whatever the cover was. I don't know. Back then could have been $10, and I was like, no, I don't want $10 for a party. So can I be part of the band? And they're like, yeah, but how are you part of the band? And they're like, well, hey, just sing a song. So the song that they selected for me to sing was killing the name. I'm like, this is the song. Like, you do realize, and as I'm learning, I'm like, you do realize what this song is about. They're going to be cops at this party, and I'm calling them members of the KKK. And like, it was obvious to me that's what he was saying. And then I'm like, why there was cops at this party, like for underage? I don't know. Like, I just know that it was going to be security who were cops. And my memory is fuzzy because it was the
Because you
early
paid 10
90s.
bucks and you were going to get your money. Oh, actually, you didn't pay.
I
You
didn't
spent
pay and I got my money's worth. But yeah. And now to hear people like, hey, that's what that song's like. I don't know. I don't know what people, I get that there's some songs people miss because there's one line over here or another line over there. But literally the chorus was what the song was about. I don't know. I find that odd about that song.
Yeah, I just know I won't do what you tell me. That's all I know.
Right. People know the fuck you. I won't do what you tell me part. Not
Yeah.
the some of
You're
those
you're
who wear who
you're
join force.
probably yeah, some of those who wear badges. There's also the people who burn crosses or now
The
hold
same.
office.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's a pretty deep song actually if you think about it. He's just too bad he was screaming the whole time, so most people had no idea what he was saying. But I
Right.
could see how you would do a good job of that song because it's mostly screaming. So you just
Yeah.
run around, drop the F bomb and scream a little bit, and everyone thought you knew what you were doing.
Exactly. That was it. That's all. That's they picked like the simplest song for me to sing. It was thank you to those gentlemen. I appreciate it. I don't think I did a good job on it that day, but thank you very much.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
Obi, last thing for me, and I know you said you had a couple things. Um, on last episode, you felt the need to go into the comment section and thank some people for defending your honor. I'm just wondering, why did you feel the need to be defended and thank those individuals?
Uh, you know, um, because sometimes I feel hurt. And I like
Yeah, that's gonna stop me now.
yeah, it's
Okay.
gonna stop you now. Yeah, nothing tells a bully to stop like saying it hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all. Because I think it's fun to interact and on the website. So I wanted to thank people, but I'm not sure that it even mattered because most people just said that bastard.
Well, you got to understand. Some people voted for that bastard just because no matter what I put as that an answer to the question, they're going to vote that bastard.
Yes, I believe somebody once said that. Like I vote for that bastard. Like that's what it is. Yeah,
So
yeah,
if I were to make a question like, is Ed like a really cool guy? It would be that bastard, and they would vote for that bastard
yeah, yeah.
when they really think I'm a cool guy.
Oh yeah, everyone thinks you're cool. That's why they listen to our podcast because you're so cool.
Yeah. So what'd you have to talk about? See,
Well, so
I hugged this whole thing.
you did, which is fine. I mean, I just, it's interesting that we were talking about generations early because I spent each of the last 2 weekends with two very different 40-year-olds. Now
Was one a virgin?
was what? No,
One a virgin?
as far as I know, neither were, but
Okay.
one is without child, so it's conceivable. The other one definitely has produced a baby, or at least the woman he was married to claims it's his.
Okay. All right. So two different 40-year-olds, but neither of them are virgin. So it's not sequel to
Yeah,
the movie.
no, yeah, yes, and it was just so one was at the Eagles game. He got tickets to the Eagles game. He brought me along. And then the other one is my cousin, who I think we've talked about before, who has no children, and it's surprising the little differences. I know you like to talk about the generations, but the little differences in them. One of them, of course, is fully gainfully employed with sleeves that he exposes all the time, not affecting his job. And then the other one, uh, we went out to eat, just a couple of couples at a decent restaurant, not anything extravagant, and he was wearing a jacket and a button-down shirt. So two extremely different individuals. I felt like I had more to say, but now it seems to have all left my mind because I have no notes.
Well, let me ask you a question.
I'm sure you will.
So the guy with the jacket and the button-down shirt, does he like wear a jacket and button-down shirt like all the time, or was he just thinking that he wanted to dress nicely for this restaurant?
So he usually dresses more professional than the average person when we go out. Not always a jacket. Um, I've traveled with him, but yes, he's always a little more professionally dressed, not than the occasion calls for, but always at the upper limit of what the occasion calls for.
Well, he was probably raised that you can never be overdressed as a guy, right?
Probably. And his wife does work in, when I say in high end fashion, like the kind of brands that when your wife is talking, she's going to buy you, go, really? Do you need that one?
So, would you refer to did you refer to him as douche chill, or did you keep that to yourself?
No, I did not refer to him as douche chill, but we did get him a shirt that said Big Dig Energy
to
for his
wear under
birthday.
his jacket?
That's what we told him to take. He was like, I should take off this other. We're like, yes, you should, because that's who you are. But it was almost douche chill, and that's why I mean, like, it was like had we changed. My wife and I talked about changing the restaurant at the last minute, and had we done that to him, he definitely would have been douche chill
See, what I don't understand is I wore a jacket and a button-down shirt, and I got called douche chill.
on a plane, dude. Now, if he wears
First
that,
class, first class.
if he when he goes to Europe next time, he has made it clear that he's getting the sleepers. If he wears his jacket and his button down on the plane, then he too is douche chill, even in the sleepers.
Well, I wait, but so first of all, if you're in the sleepers of a plane, that is douche chill. That's beyond that's just douche because you're gonna sleep. You don't need the jacket at all. You should actually be dressed in your freaking pajamas if you're in the sleeper. I was not in a sleeper. I was in a first class, classy cabin. I mean, that's you got to dress like you
If you
belong
say
there.
so. If you say so. If that's your defense.
Yeah, my
Okay.
defense. I'm
Okay.
sticking with it.
All right. Was everybody dressed too chill or just you?
First of all, just because everyone else didn't get the memo didn't mean that I was out of line. It meant that they're slobs.
Right. Listen, were they on time? Did the plane leave on time? Because that's the thing that matters. You were dressed inappropriately, and we're not going to fire you, but you were on time, so you can keep your job.
That's true. I was on time.
Me
So if
pulling
I,
that back from the beginning didn't suck. The charm is that we suck. I'm Obi. That's Ed. Catch you next time on Drinking from the Garden.